You're listening to the New Artist Workshop.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
No, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
No, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Hello and welcome back to your favorite podcast. Now, that's what I call a franchise. I'm Peter Mancuso.
And I'm Viviana Metzger, and this is the show where Peter and I pick a film franchise and go through every single installment. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
And to be clear, we are defining a franchise as a series of films with at least 4 entries. So, Viviana, we've been doing Pirates of the Caribbean. What are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about the 2007 film Pirates of the Caribbean, At World's End. And this is your one and only spoiler warning. This movie is all over the place, so if you haven't watched it, do that before listening to this episode.
Yeah, this is not one of those movies where if you haven't seen it, like you should not lean on us to be able to recap the plot. Even me, and I read obviously a lot of notes on the plot and kind of help, but it's just so. We'll get there. Before we get into anything else, we've decided. Well, I just had my birthday a couple weeks ago at the time of this recording, so we have a lot of leftover alcohol in the fridge. So we decided to bring a little bit of bubbly back to the pod. So Vivian, what are you drinking tonight?
It's actually my first time having it, but I'm trying a Truly.
What is a Truly?
I guess it's like a hard seltzer.
Okay.
I haven't had that before, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
We'll see if you're half in the bag in about 10 minutes. I'm drinking a special cocktail that I make myself. It's called a Juicy Juice Mix-Up. It's Juicy Juice, Angry Orchard, Merlot, and a tiny little splash of vodka. It's so delicious. Very dangerous because you cannot taste any alcohol. You will be half in the bag for sure.
And yes, he is the only grown man to make a jungle juice with juicy juice. So.
I mean, it's the most delicious. Every person makes fun of it, and then they try it, and then they're obsessed with it.
No, it's good. It tastes good. It's just funny.
It was a big hit in college. People would be like, "Oh, you're gonna make the juicy juice?" People would request it. People would be requesting it. If Jack Sparrow had a little sip of this, he would forget rum even existed.
It's like a dangerous jungle juice because it's like you can't really taste the alcohol.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get into the actual meat and potatoes here. So this is the Letterboxd blurb. This is one of the strangest ones that I've ever read, I think. So I'm going to read this. You tell me what you think. Captain Barbossa. So we're already starting off with Captain Barbossa.
Yeah.
Captain Barbossa, long believed to be dead, has come back to life and is headed to the edge of the earth with Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann. But nothing is quite as it seems. No mention of Jack Sparrow.
What?
It makes it sound like Captain Barbossa is the main character.
That's so silly.
And the plot is about going to the edge of the earth, which is just the first third of the movie. So very strange. So let's get some basic info.
Well, I'll do the basic info.
Oh, okay. By all means.
Okay, so again, the director, Gore. Writers, Ted and Terry, as we know. Distribution, Buena Vista. That's all the same. The release month and year.
Now that's not the same.
That is not the same. This is a year later. This is May 2007, and the budget was $300 million, but the box office gross was $961 million. So
a pretty good return on investment.
Okay.
Not as good as the last film, because the last film was cheaper to make and made more money. Mm-hmm. But this is still pretty comparable. It's all within $100 million of one another. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this was just a huge movie. Both in terms of its production, but also the film itself, and we'll definitely get into it. But before we do that, so Viviana, you had seen this film before, correct?
Honestly, I don't know now. I thought I had, but the little preview picture on Disney Plus, it looked very familiar with was what's his name? Xiaofang's people or whatever, like his like crew. But maybe not. I have no idea. Maybe it was like another one, but then I'm like, why would I have watched a later one if I haven't seen this one?
Well, that doesn't seem like something you wouldn't do.
No, I know.
I feel like you did that all the time when you were like a kid.
Aren't they through line like?
I mean, I guess so. Well, here's the thing: I've never seen the other two that we're gonna watch, so I don't know how much they really rely on. But from my understanding, it's really just like if you kind of have a general idea of who Jack Sparrow is and what his deal is, you can watch the other two. So I would not be surprised if you and your mom and your sister just went to go see the new one.
No, we didn't. No.
Oh! I'm sorry.
But I just remember this one scene where, like, it's like further into town, and I don't know, something happens, and I'm pretty sure it's Jack. I don't think it's Will, but I'm pretty sure it's Jack, and he's like running from the people, and he's like running on this like dining room table, and like on the rafters and stuff on this light pole, and then like ends up in a carriage or something. So maybe that's in a later one, because it wasn't in this one. So I have no idea.
I don't know. Now, I say this with all due respect, because historically this has proven to be true in other situations. Is there a chance that this, whatever you're describing, is not in any of these movies? That you either conjured it up or you saw it in an unrelated like movie that was not this franchise? Because I feel like that's happened with you before, where it's like you'll combine different kind of things. Like maybe the first half of what you're talking about is in the fifth movie, and then the second half of what you're talking about is in the third movie, and then there's other parts that like are in a completely different franchise. Like is that possible here? Like how strong of a memory do you have where it's like I know I saw Johnny Depp running around doing this stuff?
Pretty good, but I don't know. It must have been. I'm looking at the other two to see.
Well, I mean, we'll get there when we get there, so you don't need to do that like right now necessarily.
Yeah.
So actually, I have a funny experience with this movie. It might
have been the fifth one.
It's possible.
I think it might have been the fifth one. We'll see. What about you?
So I was on a cruise with my family in February of 2008. I know it was February because it was like February break. That's how I know. I was like maybe 11 or something.
What the hell is February break?
Oh, in Rhode Island we have February break and April break. Like spring break.
What?
Like a week off of school in February, a week off of school in April.
Why do you have a week off of school in February?
Because we're awesome. I don't know.
That's so weird. Okay.
Well, it's like, you know how you have spring break, which is like a week?
Yeah.
Well, you get one in February.
No, I know, but that's weird.
I don't know what you want me to tell you.
Okay.
Anyway, so we were, I guess it's a regional thing. I don't know. But anyway, so we're on this cruise and like, again, this is 2008. So like streaming and everything like was very, or like that wasn't really an option. So the best you had was like, there was like pay-per-view, like on the TV. So you could like rent movies through the, you know.
Of course.
Right, in your room. So I rented this movie, got about 2/3 of the way through. I remember it was at like the Brethren Court. And then like we lost service. like, because I don't know how it worked with like the TV. Like it wasn't Wi-Fi necessarily, but in any case, like the whole cruise, like we lost service. Like it wasn't a store, but it was just like you couldn't watch TV pay-per-view. And I just never resumed the movie.
Oh.
So what was that? That was maybe 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I think that speaks to the movie where I had watched most of it, and I just didn't bother to finish. Like it wasn't like I just watched 30 minutes and then it was like, like whatever. Like I was pretty deep into it. Mm-hmm. And I still chose to just like, whatever. And not only not finish it on that trip, but for 15 years, not bother trying to seek it out. I mean, Disney Plus has been around for like 3 or 4 years now. I could have easily watched it anytime.
Yeah.
But I didn't. right? And I think that kind of speaks to the film, and we'll talk more about our thoughts in just a little bit. But yeah, so I've finally seen it, and a little disappointed because the first like 30 minutes or so I thought were pretty good. And I was like, okay, well, you know what? I'm all for a good epic. Oh, Vivian just drank some water going down the wrong pipe.
Sorry.
You okay?
Yeah.
It, like, the first 30 minutes or so, I was like, you know what? I love a good epic. I love, you know, I really like kind of what we're doing here, trying to go find Jack, whatever. And I was kind of into it. I was like, shit, I think this movie is unfairly maligned.
Sure.
And as it went on, I was realizing I think it was somewhat fairly maligned. And I think it's not a bad movie by any means, but it's just...
I was just so confused.
It is stuff... I didn't know this, and I remember when we watched this last night, I pulled up on Disney Plus, and I saw the runtime 2 hours and 50 minutes!
Yeah, that's
crazy. It's crazy because the last movie and this movie were kind of conceived as like a pair.
Yeah.
But this movie is like 2 movies. So really the second and third movie could have been a whole trilogy. Like, this movie is 3 hours and yet still not long enough. It's like there's just so many plot threads, ideas, characters, arcs. It's just
so
all
confused.
It's all over the place. It's like, crazy.
Like nothing made sense. Like everything. You know how I was talking about like in the last one, it kind of felt like we were learning the new rules of like being a pirate or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one was like the rules of, you know, like British society or whatever.
Mm-hmm. My headcanon, yeah.
What?
No, again, my whole theory about like the first one being about like expectations and like...
Oh, yeah. But this one, I don't even know. Like, I would say more of learning piracy, but also like, I feel like they're totally retconning.
Well, that's the thing is that they're
trying to make it more cohesive than it actually is. And so it just gets very confusing.
Yeah.
Like, since when is there a court? Since when is there a keeper of the rules?
That's the thing is that they kind of pull a George Lucas.
Since when do they have like a government for pirates?
I thought their whole thing was that there is no
worldwide
order to it. They're kind of pulling a George Lucas where it's like they're retconning, but they're doing it in such a way where it's like, well, technically this doesn't contradict what came before, but it contradicts like our impression of what it was. So it's like they never said there wasn't a worldwide pirate confederation, but nothing about the first film implied or suggested anything of the sort, and not factually contradicts, but like, I don't want to say emotionally contradicts, but it's like, and we'll get into this with the notes, but like, I almost don't like how there's a big book of rules. Like, the code is written down in a book. Because for me, I had always kind of interpreted, like, the code, quote unquote, like something that had been passed down orally for, like, generations. And that had morphed over time. And it was, like, this idea of, like, these rules, but, like, the rules aren't even, like, that clear. Mm. So it's like, things like that. But, I don't know. But why don't I talk a little bit about the development of the film? I don't have much to say about it. Okay. And then I would love to just jump right into the film itself and just kind of go through it. And
sure.
Try to make sense of it, because I'm still kind of confused.
It was so back and forth, and like, yeah, like you were saying, like it doesn't like contradict it, I guess, in a way, but like it just, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like the natural flow, the natural conclusion.
They really tried to make it like a big epic.
It was so confusing.
Which we'll get there. We'll get there. So, just a little bit about the production of this film. So for the third film, director Gore Verbinski wanted to return the tone to that of a character piece after using the second film to keep the plot moving. I feel like this movie has way more plot than the last movie.
Character who?
Well, that's the thing is that if anything, the first film Again, like we said last episode.
We don't spend a lot of time with anyone.
Yeah, it's like I said in our last episode, the first film had like the perfect balance of character and plot and all of that. Whereas the second film was very set piece driven, moment driven, and this one's just like all plot. It's just 3 hours of plot.
Who is the main character of this, or is it just an ensemble?
Well, that's the thing.
Because we learn something new about Jack every time. So I feel like he's not the main character, but also there's a lot of time not spent with Elizabeth or Will.
Well, that's the problem, is that I'm of the opinion that even an ensemble film should still have like a clear protagonist. Yeah. But even if you're going the route of like, it very much is like multiple, like there's basically multiple mini.
They should be more entwined, like Scooby-Doo.
Sure.
It's like it's not like no one's the clear, like there's a leader, but Fred is not the main character. And like, they all come together.
They in this film they just don't do a good enough job of giving everyone a satisfying arc, even now. Because with the last film I gave it the benefit of the doubt and I was like, it's a 2-part story, this is only the first part, maybe they pay off some of the character. Now watching this one, they don't do enough in either the last one or this one. Like, no one really has a good character arc. At best, people have, like, good arcs on paper, but then they're not executed well. So, like, Will, for example, like, I like this idea of him, like, doing what he can to save his father and, like, that relationship. But that's, like, the best case scenario out of all of this. And even that isn't well executed.
We talked about that not being well developed in the last one, so it seems kind
and this film doesn't do it any favors. Yeah. But anyway, that was one bullet of the development when I was set us off on this whole thing.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, I have more. Yeah, because I see you wrote about Calypso, and that was so random.
So we'll get there. So so inspired by the real life Confederation of Pirates, which I guess was like a kind of semi-real thing. Elliott and Rossio looked at historical figures and created fictional characters from them to expand the scope beyond the main cast. Finally, embellishing their mythology, Calypso was introduced, going full circle to Barbossa's mention of heathen gods that created the curse in the first film. I did not get the implication that she was somehow related to the Aztec treasure. I did not get that implication at all.
Wait, what? Going full circle?
Finally embellishing their mythology, Calypso was introduced, going full circle to Barbossa's mention of heathen gods, like in the first film, that created the curse in the first film.
Huh?
I don't know if that's true. Maybe that was just like someone reading. I would want to check. This is all sourced from Wikipedia, which is usually pretty well sourced. But I would like to go back and maybe look at what was the source of that, because
she's like Haitian or like Caribbean or like Jamaican or something. She is not Mexican.
Yeah, I don't.
And also, I thought that curse was put on well before her. And also, I'm so gay.
It's of all the movies that we're drinking, this should not be one of them because it's already hard to keep straight.
Well, that's why we got
But soon you're not going to be able to see straight, you know.
I don't know.
Maybe we should have drunk during the movie and then talk sober here.
Like, I did not understand that at all because, like,
I don't know if that's true, frankly. But
why did? So if they're in love, right?
No, we're just getting into it. Okay, they're in love.
Calypso and Davy, right? Is she the keeper? Is she the one who has cursed him?
Yeah, it's never made clear. I think the implication is that she's the one who tasked him with being the captain of the Dutchman and having to ferry the souls to the next life. But it's not clear. And then they don't do a good job of making it's just so stuffed that there's not enough time to talk about everything, but you need to.
Yeah, because is that why he elected to help put her in a human form, or was she already in a human form? And also
Well, yeah, they say that he showed the pirates how to do it. But yeah, why? What, I'm confused about the timeline.
But also, she was mad at him for not showing up. So what was the timeline?
That's the thing is, like, what came first?
Was she the goddess who cursed him, but then they fell in love, but then he didn't show up, and so she got mad, and then he was afraid of her, I don't know, sinking his ship or something, and then, like, you know, did the spell that way? Is it a spell? Incantation? I don't know. And I don't know, I'm just very confused about that whole situation.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was gonna be like a little bit more clear, especially when she turned him back into a human for a little bit, because like, so he knew.
Oh yeah.
She knew him before he was an octopus man. So either she did that to him and cursed him, or I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think we're nitpicking here either, because I think understanding that timeline really tells us a lot about them as characters. Yeah, and we don't have a sense of it. Like, I don't think we're pulling what do they call splitting hairs here.
No, because then also, okay, she just bursts into a bunch of crabs and then disappears. What the fuck? It
was completely. And then, I guess she creates the whirlpool. But
then does she create the whirlpool? But like, does she really want all of them to come hang out with her, or was that all just to get Davy there? Or like, why didn't she leave with him? Or like, also, what does first quarter mean, or whatever? Does that mean you go first? Because they were the only two ships fighting, and the rest of the British Armada was like nowhere to be found.
This is the past 5 minutes have just been lots of questions.
I'm so confused.
Okay, well, let's get into the movie. Let's move through it.
Let's get into the silliness of the different sizes of and multiplication of people in this movie.
Are you talking about
Little Devil Jack and Little Angel Jack?
Oh, all right. And then Calypso gets really big.
Yes.
Lots of sizing.
And then and there's Jack manning a whole ship with duplicates of himself.
Yeah, well, he was just in the salt fields of Utah, but I wonder if he
also
that's hell, Utah. No offense.
Also, what's up with the crabs? And then so.
All right, enough. Let's get into it. Let's start from the beginning.
Crabs.
I don't know. Let's get into it, dude.
Why didn't they go crawl back into Calypso?
You've asked 35 questions. Just get into it.
I don't understand.
So we start the movie again. Third time. Really appreciate, though, I will say, they start off all these films start off very bold. Like, they're never fun. All three of these movies start off, it's depressing as shit. The first movie starts, it's a creepy version of Yo-Ho sung by a little British girl, and it's a foggy day out at sea. The second movie starts, it's like a torrential downpour, and her wedding has been ruined.
Oh my god, yes, I was trying to remember the beginning. Yes, what the fuck?
And then this one, it's like 100 people getting... Excuse me, I'm hiccuping from all this alcohol. It's like 100 people getting hanged... And
yeah, it's like a fast food line.
I guess it's basically become like fascism, and like Becca is just like making everyone's guilty of everything, and everyone's getting like literally hanging children.
Yeah, he hung that little boy. Also, where did that little boy get that? Well, I guess it's a piece of money, right? But how did he know? Was he a pirate?
Was that one of the 9 pieces of 8?
I'm very confused. And also, if you kill your whole town, who are you supposed to govern? The chickens?
Hey, well, you know, they make a lot of eggs. They're useful. I when we were watching this, Viviana, because they all start to sing.
Oh my god.
And Viviana was like, what is this, Les Mis?
Oh my god, yeah, it starts off like a fucking musical, and then this movie...
But they're singing Yo-Ho, but it's like, it's not Yo-Ho, Pirates Life. For me, it's some other songs. They're going like, Yo-Ho. They're like the in Wizard of Oz. What is it in Wizard of Oz? And they're like, Yo-Wee-Yo.
Oreo.
No, they're not saying Oreo.
Well, that's how
Did Oreos even exist in 1939?
Of course.
They did?
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. That it's one of those things where it's like it could either have been created in 1824 or 2006. I never know.
No. Okay.
Obviously, I'm just joking about
Yes,
2006.
1912, you fool.
Okay.
The world's top-selling cookie.
But let me ask you this. Did they sell Oreos in Oz?
Don't know.
Okay. But it's interesting that this film, it loses track of this, but with opening the film this way, you can really see that they're leaning into this idea of government oppression versus personal liberty.
It would take more place more in the town.
I mean, why do you say that?
Because this is a town issue of them all getting killed.
What would take place? Are you talking about the movie would take more place in town?
Yeah, as opposed to like.
But the issue is global. The issue is out at sea. The issue is Beckett's control of the sea.
No,
Port Royal's kind of like a footnote in that. That's just a port. That's just a place.
No, I know. I just figured, I guess, with Elizabeth and her dad, like it would be more of an issue.
Well, that's the thing, is that in the second film, they really make a point of, like, the degradation of Port Royal, or the corruption of Port Royal at the hands of Beckett. And this film kind of, it starts off with that, and then we, like, quickly forget about it.
Mm-hmm. Because I know the problem is international, but it's like, where's the source? Beckett, right? So then, it would take place more in town or something. And then...
I don't know. But they're really leaning into like this government oppression versus personal liberty. So the pirates are confirmed libertarians.
Okay. Of course, I would expect nothing less.
So they're all getting offed. All the kids getting hanged. Everyone.
I was like, how are they gonna do that? And he gives him a barrel.
He kind of looked like Atreyu from Neverending Story.
He gave him a barrel.
That's right, because he's not even tall enough.
Yeah.
But the film in general, but this part especially, like the film is taking itself very seriously. It's very, very seriously. Like the films have become progressively more. It's not that it's serious; it's that it's self-serious. That it has like this air about it where it's like, oh, we're really saying something here.
Well, let me tell you, I laughed my ass off when they all started singing. It was so random. There's never been any other song.
Well, they sing yo-ho, yo-ho.
Okay,
and really bad eggs.
Okay, like one person at a time, or max 3 people.
Not like Les Mis style, where it's like the whole ensemble.
Yeah, it was like literally everyone in line, everyone up the gallows. And then they make a point of it by one of the guards going to Beckett and saying, they've started singing. They've begun singing.
That's true. They're like, sir. And he's like, oh, not again. Not more songs. But to your point about this, the scope has expanded beyond the Caribbean at this point.
Yeah.
Because like the first time we see our heroes, they're in Singapore, which you had a very interesting question. The Panama Canal was certainly not built at this time. So for them to get to Singapore, they would have had to go around South America.
Yeah.
Or, which would make even less sense, sailed over the Atlantic and sailed like under Africa.
Well, that's why I was asking, because those are very treacherous waters, and that's why it would take a long time to.
I them be treacherous waters.
No, like I'm serious. Like it's like well known that those are very like rough waters, like rocky, whatever. For whatever reason, I don't know. So that was like a big thing for explorers and whatnot. That's why Columbus basically thought that he was in India, because he was like, oh, I'm not going to go under Africa. Like, that's going to take too long and too dangerous, right? So I'm just going to go straight there. Boop. Found a continent.
In the middle.
Not India.
Yeah. Well, I would also wager that the reason why he made that mistake is because he was a fucking idiot. Historically confirmed. Sorry, at me. Don't care. I've had a lot to drink now.
Oh, my goodness.
But anyway. So, but I think honestly they said in Singapore because they're probably like, Americans don't really know where anything is. They probably don't even know where the Caribbean is if we asked them to point on a map. So they probably just like, they get there through movie logic.
But how long would it take them? It it didn't take. It would take a long time to get somewhere. You know.
I agree with you.
It took people like how long? Like a week or a month or something to get across from England to America, and that's just a little stretch.
I think a month or two. I think more than that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I mean, they got like the super fast, but they got the pearl. Actually, they don't have the pearl. It's in Davy Jones' locker, which I've never understood this.
Is that like hell, like Hades? Like
I think. Well, that's the thing is I don't understand.
or
Like
is it purgatory?
Well, here's the thing, is I obviously know what a locker is, but did lockers exist in the 1700s? And if not, what are they referring to?
It's not like a modern locker, but like a box, a locked box.
That's a good point. Yeah, I don't know.
And also, how does he not know if it's his locker? How does he not know what goes in and out of it, or like what's in it?
He doesn't know. He doesn't know what's going on.
Because he's so surprised when he sees Jack again, or whatever,
or hears about him.
Yeah, I think so. Because they were like, "Oh, he spent time in Davy Jones's locker or something," and he was like, "What?" And I was like, It's your locker.
It's your locker, bro.
What do you mean?
But anyway, back in Singapore.
Okay, wait, hold on.
Oh, what?
So, this is what Wiki says. So, Davy Jones's locker is a metaphor for the oceanic abyss, the final resting place of drowned sailors and travelers. It is a euphemism for drowning or shipwrecks in which the sailors and ships' remains are consigned to the depths of the ocean.
So I understand what it's supposed to represent, but then what is the image? Like, what is Davy Jones' locker? Like, what is that supposed to literally be? I understand the figurative.
Well, it's like a space.
But you know how like the four horsemen of the apocalypse? It's a metaphor, but the literal image, is a guy riding a horse. What is Davy Jones' locker? Like, what is that supposed to even be? Is it a locker?
I think it's just like a...
with some dirty socks? I think SpongeBob made that joke about Davy Jones' locker. And it's like, you don't want to get to Davy Jones' locker because it has smelly gym clothes in his locker.
No. It's like a graveyard for people at sea. But also... what? Wait, so... Oh, so maybe he doesn't know because he's not doing his job, right? So he's supposed to take those people.
That's right. He hasn't been doing his job.
So maybe that's why, because he just stays in like regular water, like alive people water, and not like the dead people water.
I don't know.
But then, why was there a portion of it that was just like the salt lands, but then there was also the part where they were
a beach.
in the little boats.
I don't know.
And also, was that a river of souls? And what is the difference between the souls in the water?
I was going to ask that as well.
And the souls in the boats.
I didn't understand the difference either.
Why they got a little candle?
It's dark.
Well, they got a little candle. The other one's just floating around.
I don't know. Maybe the people in the water were just died of old age, but the people in the boats were people who were murdered. They were like people whose lives were taken from them.
I guess. The two little girls? Oh my god.
Oh, I don't know. I just made that up.
Well, okay, her dad was murdered.
That's what I'm saying.
We don't know how.
But that's the thing, is that they...
Apparently somewhere at sea, because they were going to go check out something. I don't remember. Well,
this is actually the basis. There's lots of deleted material from this film.
Oh.
But there's 2 deleted scenes that are very interesting. I'm going to save them for the trivia.
Oh.
Because I just want to look at this. I don't want to look at the movie as it is for now. But anyway, we're barely into it.
It's just a puzzle piece, this movie.
I know. We got to stay on track just because we're a little tipsy here.
I'm not tipsy. I stopped drinking my drink because it tastes like poop.
Oh, it tastes like... Oh, you heard it here first, folks. Truly blueberry tastes like poop.
Well, hold on. Let me...
Where, you guys have heard of podcast sponsors. We're doing sponsors like attack ads. So, like, Truly's competitor has paid us to shit on Truly Blueberry.
No.
If anyone who wants us to do an attack ad on your competitor, just let us know. We'll work out a deal.
No. We learned that's unethical. in my class. And also, no, it just has like a weird aftertaste. I don't know.
I'm sure people find this riveting, but let's get back to the film. So they're in Singapore, and Barbosa. So something I want to ask about is the last film ends with the amazing cliffhanger. Barbosa's alive, but they never really explain how they did it.
No, they did in this one.
But how? So how did they bring him back to life?
The Dalai Lama.
Tia Dalma.
Tia Dalma.
But what did she do?
I don't know. She did some voodoo something.
That's what I'm saying.
She brought him back, and then he was supposed to do something else for her in return. I forgot.
I free her.
Oh yes, free her. So.
But where'd she find his body? She went to the Aztec gold place.
Yeah,
found his body.
Isla de Muerta.
Why was she there? How'd she know he died?
I don't know.
It's a lot of yada yadaing. It's a lot of just hand waving away.
Also, was that off the coast of Mexico? Did they travel that far?
Isla de Muerta?
See.
It's in the Caribbean, I think.
Oh, in the Caribbean.
I don't know where it is.
Okay.
I'm not a cartographer.
Anyway, somehow she found his dead little body, but he was just dead, right? So that's what she was saying about with Jack, is that like...
Which is a retcon of the end of the last movie, because the end of the last movie, she's like, in order to find Jack, you need to have someone who has sailed those waters. But then in this movie, she makes it abundantly clear that Barbosa's situation was very different than Jack's. So had he not sailed these waters?
No, he had gone to the afterlife, and also the world is square. Oh, maybe this does work. It's starting to get a little foggy.
Yeah, you're definitely feeling the truly blueberry.
So I might finish it just to not be wasteful. I don't know.
That's a good point.
So she found his body, but also his soul wasn't like to Davy. Also, why is Jack's soul to Davy? Why does he own his soul or owe him a debt or something?
Well, because they explained in the last one that Davy Jones is the one who, like, the Black Pearl is basically a ghost ship. Like, it was a sunken ship that he raised for Jack and was like, in return, you can be a captain for 13 years. In return, then afterwards, you have to be on my crew.
So this is his second time being dead?
No, he didn't die.
Oh.
He asked Davy Jones to, like, resurrect the ship.
Oh. Why don't you just build a new ship?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Okay.
You're asking a lot of important questions.
Well, I'm just saying. Okay, so he's got the... yeah, they're in Singapore, and I guess Tia is now with them too? Question mark?
Like, she's part of the gang. Like, she always seemed like a character, like, you go to for guidance, but now she's like...
Like a set place character, you know?
Like, if it was a video game, like, you would have to travel to her little place.
Sure.
To get advice. She's not part of your party.
Sure. But now she's not.
Well, they're all working together. It's kind of interesting to see, like, Barbosa and Elizabeth working together.
Yeah.
Because, like...
Oh, and the monkey!
And the monkey's helping. And Cotton. Two little... not Cotton, but Cotton's parrot.
Oh, yes. But the monkey, though, he set off all those fireworks. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, sorry. I just slurped my drink. I'm almost at the bottom.
They nail filed through the drain.
They what?
They like filed through the drain.
Oh, under the... Yeah. It's also interesting to see Elizabeth has really come into her own in this movie. I don't necessarily mean, like, in a good way. I just mean, like, she's packing heat. Like, she has, like, 18 guns in her... under her thing. Yeah. She's like Neo in The Matrix when he goes through the security at the office building. He has, like, all these guns, hitched to his belt.
Also, does your father know where you are? Halfway across the world.
The last time he saw her was when he was trying to smuggle her out of jail. Yeah, that's really sad. That's the last time they saw each other. Well, technically, they saw each other as he went to the afterlife.
I don't know. Oh, that was such a sad way to find out. Like, what?
Yeah.
Also, so random because they were like, "Oh, don't talk to them," but then he started talking back to her. Are they allowed to?
I don't know if it's like an allowed, also, as in like you're like there's no one keeping track of the rules. I think it's just like dangerous.
Not rules. I just mean like are they able to do that, or was it just because it was her dad and you know?
I think you could. I think it's just the idea like don't disturb the dead.
Oh.
I don't think it's like you can't.
And why couldn't she leave the boat? Would she turn into a skeleton if she touched the soul water?
I don't know if skeleton, but
Or
she
a
might
soul.
die. I don't know.
Okay. Anyways, we're in Singapore. They're doing a scheme. Also,
A scheme is the exact word I would use. It's definitely a
Also-
scheme.
Also, I don't like the added. They were like, "Oh, Kira's not 17 anymore. Let's make her like this like sex object," and it makes me so uncomfortable. It's like every movie they find a new way to objectify this woman, and it's so weird. And also,
at one point, she basically becomes like Xiao Feng's like sex slave. Like,
I guess so. Wait, so he thought she was cool. Anyways, okay. Let's go back. So, okay, so
at this rate, this is gonna be like 3.5
they're
hours.
trying to ask Xiaofang for a crew, basically. But earlier that day, oh no, Will stole a chart from his uncle. And so he's like, I don't trust you guys. And then also, how did those swords come through the floorboards? Because surely the
hilts?
Huh?
The hilts, like the handle.
Okay, yeah, the hilts would get caught. No?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they definitely.
And also, they were that joke where Rigetti, he was looking up.
He was looking up?
He was looking up at her through the floorboards.
Oh, I missed that completely. He was looking up her skirt?
Yes, because remember they had to take off all their guns, and then he, like, to further humiliate her, he was like, oh, you need to, like, take off your clothes, too. And so she was in that robe, all uncomfortable, walking around all these large, piratey men in the bathhouse, and then
steamy.
He's looking up through the floorboard at her coochie, and then he's like, oh, Pintel, like, come look, it's Elizabeth. And he goes, but she had moved, and then it was some dude with a big beard.
I did miss this completely.
How
I
did
did not
you miss that?
I don't know. I was probably writing my notes.
Oh. It made me feel weird.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be comrades.
Yeah, what the heck?
But they're trying to get Xiao Fang to, like, basically they're like, we all have to work together because the British are coming. The British are evil.
Yeah.
Capitalism is evil. They're gonna regulate the seas.
Yeah.
Which, like, again, I said the same thing about the last movie. Like, this existential threat, I don't really care about. I'm kind of like, this existential threat.
Of what? Death?
Of, like, Beckett. No, of Beckett, like, they won't be able to be pirates anymore.
Not existential.
It is like their existence as pirates will be null and void. It's existential to their profession.
Oh, I thought like planety.
No, not planety.
Okay, anyways. So yeah, I guess so. They're all concerned about that. But then Xiaofeng is like, yo, why are you stealing from me if we have this common enemy? And then they see this guy, and of course it's steamy because it's a bathhouse, right? And then
it's like a noir, but instead of smoke, it's all steam.
But then this guy's tattoos, they start melting. And Xiaofeng's like, that ain't right. And they're like, he's like, I'm gonna kill your dude if you don't, work with me. And they're like, go ahead, kill him. I don't know who the fuck that is.
Yeah.
And they're like, wait. And then Will was like, wait. If he's not with you, and he's not with us, who's he with? And then, pew, pew, pew!
Like the fucking LAPD. Like they fucking bust through. It's like a raid.
Yeah, the British come in, full guns a-blazing.
And this whole little, like, village or town or whatever just becomes like a huge gunfight. Fireworks going everywhere.
Bro.
Someone gets shot through the fucking head.
Yeah.
In a Disney movie, Marty, the little person, is like shoots a bazooka or something,
Oh my God.
and he goes
Gets
flying backwards.
Oh, but there was also another little person who was working the coal steamers or whatever. So that was cool. There was two of them.
Well, every side has to have one.
Well, more representation.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, you know what? I just feel bad for. I gotta look this up. I just feel bad.
Don't look it up. Why are you looking things up while we're on the air?
I just feel bad for the Singaporeans because...
Did you just look up what do you call someone who's from Singapore?
I looked up Singapore people name. Because those are the only words that came to my head.
You couldn't just said the people of Singapore?
It auto-filled. Anyways.
It auto-filled.
I feel bad for the Singaporeans because now all their bamboo's blown up. The
bamboo grows really quickly, though.
No, I know, that's good, but, like, their whole fucking town is, like, like, in pieces. It's like an Apocalypse Now and they keep blowing up the bridge. It's like their town is the bridge. It's just, like, in pieces, you know? Whoa. And, like, now they gotta... They lost their fireworks. They lost their walkways, their bamboo. That's how they get around, though. Because it's, like, above water or something. Like Venice, and like, you know,
it's the Venice of the East.
It's so weird and so rude to just do that and then bounce.
It is pretty rude.
Anyway.
Meanwhile, with the British, Norrington has really reaped the benefits of his betrayal.
Yes, he's.
So I don't know if I really constitute his betrayal.
Now.
He's back to being kind of, but if not, he not only is he back to where he was, he's higher. Because he was a Commodore, now he's an Admiral.
Yeah.
Admirals, I believe it's like you
is
command, like, yeah, it's like the top, basically.
Yeah.
It's like the tippity top.
Yeah, so he's more in control now. No, it wouldn't be like a revenge or backstabbing. No, it would be looking out for himself.
Just like self-interest, yeah.
Yeah.
He's back, he doesn't look like, he's a clean-shaven, he has his wig.
No, he's got his little wig.
But they got the governor, like, signing stuff? I guess basically it's like, technically you're still the one who has to make these decisions, but we're going to coerce you into...
Yeah, it's like blatant coercion and like...
So it's like you're going to sign these...
He's like their political slave, basically. Like,
their puppet.
Yeah, like puppet. Or puppet. But, you know, he's just signing whatever they tell him to, and like, he doesn't really have a say, and he thinks he's in on it, like... But, like, he thinks he's, like, more involved than he actually is. And then...
He's about to get
disposed of. He finds out he's not. He finds out he's not.
But, going back to, like, the crew... So, they have the charts now. They have the ship. They got a little, I guess, a crew of some kind from Sao Fang.
Yeah, well, there was, like, their crew, I guess, or whatever is left of it. And then Sao Fang's, and then... Where are they going?
Going to the end of the... Going to World's End.
Which apparently we're still going off of the mythos of a flat Earth.
No, I don't think so. Because the idea is that it's some...
a waterfall.
I know. But I think the idea is that it's like some mystical, otherworldly place. Where like... I don't think because they know the world isn't flat because they went to Singapore. Like they... You know what I mean? Like they know it's not flat.
Well, it could be flat after Singapore.
You're right. Okay, then I guess it's flat.
Okay, the visual indications make it seem like it's the flat world theory.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But
theory is being generous.
But maybe not. I don't know. But it doesn't really matter. So they go.
You don't know if the world's flat or not?
No.
Oh.
I said I don't know, like, and I don't know if that's what they were going for or not.
I mean, probably.
Dummy, big dummy head.
I'm not dumb.
I know the world's not flat.
Well, you think that, but people... I think it was like a famous basketball player who was like, the world's flat. I think it was like LeBron James or Shaquille O'Neal.
It was not LeBron James.
Hold on.
No.
Basketball player.
Because...
World is flat.
So they go off this, like, fountain thing. This waterfall thing. And they fall...
Yeah, so apparently Shaquille O'Neal's a flat earther too. It was a Yahoo article.
Is it where? From where?
A Yahoo article. Also, Kyrie Irving, who says a bunch of crazy shit all the time, is also, I think, is a flat earther. But...
You know what? He was too tall. He couldn't hear the teacher. That's all.
Okay.
They go off this waterfall. It's really scary, and they're like, "Oh, fuck you, Barbosa! You didn't tell us about this." Blah blah blah. He's like, "Are you afraid to get a little wet?" And they're like, "Fuck you." And then they go down.
Well, I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you a question. You've raised a lot of questions, but now I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
Jeffrey Rush, Barbosa.
Yes, Hector.
Hector Barbosa.
As we learn.
Hector Zeroni. From Holes.
I know!
He's great in this, as always, but it's unclear, like, why he's really here. Other than just, we like Jeffrey Rush. People like that character, so we're bringing him back.
Because he has to take them there.
It feels very contrived, is all I'm saying. It just feels very forced.
Well, sure. So does Tia Dalma, but, you know, she's here. Because why couldn't she just take them?
You seem like you have something... Viviana, you can't see her. She's, like, waving her hands back and forth, like, in palms together. So what do you want to say?
Nothing.
Oh, you're just very anxious, nervous energy.
No, I'm listening to
It's like
you.
we're playing Zip, Zap, Zop, like the theater
Don't
game.
talk about my physical. We're talking about the movie.
But Beckett has complete control of Jones.
Yeah, because he's got his slimy, pussy heart. I don't know why it looks pussy in this movie, but it does.
It's definitely pussier than it was before. And I wrote about this later, but also I'll just say it now. They really squander. Oh, there we go. Viviana's her head's starting to rock. Her eyes.
Oh my gosh! Come on.
She's starting to feel that drooly blueberry.
Come on.
Jones is very much squandered in this film. I feel like he was arguably.
Yeah.
I mean, I would argue he was the best part of the last movie.
Also,
And he's barely in this one, and when he is, it's not his best stuff. The last movie, he really, I think, had, like he also wasn't in the last one that much, but when he was there, it was like, he's the focus. Whereas, like, now, because he is, like, neutered, so to speak, like, now he's basically at the whim of Beckett, he's lost a lot of his, like, what made him scary.
Grandiose.
Yeah, grandiose, like, just what made him a compelling character.
When he was playing the organ this time, he was just using 2 tentacles.
When he was sad, he was just like,
Yeah, he wasn't going full beard tentacles. Which apparently can move after being removed from his face?
Yeah, like a guy cuts it off and then it keeps moving.
I guess that's kind of true.
Well, if you isn't the whole thing like with octopuses, like they'll keep moving and shit.
Well, you squeeze the lemon on them and it makes the muscles contract.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe there was some lemon juice on the ship and it was all flying around. There was a lot of rain, so who knows? Maybe someone had some lemon juice and was just squirting it around.
So he was all sad. And then the guys come back, the guards from the first movie, who we see when we're first introduced to Jack.
They're kind of like the good. They're like the British soldier versions of Pintel and Rigetti.
Sure, yeah.
It's funny because then they like paired them together later, which is kind of funny. So I'm glad to see them back. Yeah. Once again, guarding something and arguing and easily letting someone slip by them. And it's like the same. It's like the same shit. But something I noticed about this film that we were both talking about when we were watching is that it's at least like this first third visually is artistic is very artistically bold. Like they'll do like a lot of interesting visuals.
The opening was especially artsy and
with like hanging the people.
No, like the title.
Oh, that's right, because it's like Pirates of the Caribbean, and then like in normal font at World's End.
As like a ring or something falls.
Yeah,
in
like
slow
so.
motion.
It in some ways, it feels like I said before a little too self-serious, but in other cases it's really it's very much appreciated. That especially once they're going to the World's End, you know, like at one point it looks like they're sailing in the starry sky, like they're just sailing as they get closer to the waterfall.
It's reflected. Yes.
So they go over the waterfall. I like the nice little touch, like you hear all these like voices as they go over, and it's like audio from the ride, the original ride, which is kind of a cool throwback. I have no idea why it's there otherwise. Like, who are those voices supposed to be? Are those like other people who have gone to Davy Jones' locker? Like, story-wise, who are those voices? Viviana, what are you doing?
Looking at a map of the world.
Well, why? We're having a conversation here.
I'm listening to you.
What did I just say?
The voices
What about
from the ride.
What about them?
They're you're confused as to why they're there.
Oh. All right. You passed for now.
Yeah, shut the fuck up and keep talking.
Oh, it's just kind of rude not to be looking at other stuff when someone's talking to you.
I'm trying to figure out their travel arrangements, okay?
It's magic.
It's
Their
not,
travel arrangements.
It's not magic. Keep talking, or else this podcast is gonna be 3 hours.
So, we finally get to see Jack in his own personal hell.
Yes.
On his ship, crewed by 30 Jack Sparrows.
That would be hell.
And again, like I said, it's very strange choices. But I'm like, okay, go for it. Why not? It's like it's very bold. Doesn't mean it's good, but it's very like you took chances on kind of making it a little more idiosyncratic, so to speak, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, it is like, again, you definitely see like how visually striking this is in this kind of hellscape. The ship going over the sand dune, I feel like, is iconic. Like a very iconic image from this movie that I think was used in a lot of like Disney montage promos and stuff. Like,
really?
Like the ship going over the sand dunes, like as if it's like in the water. It's like a wave.
Powered by crabs.
Powered by crabs. It's such like this such weird place. Like it's because they filmed, I guess, in salt fields, which I guess sort of thing, just big wide open stretches of flat.
Yeah, the big salt lakes. Yeah.
Oh, a salt lake isn't like a lake with a lot of salt in it. It's like literally just like a bunch of salt. I thought a salt lake was like just salty, like it's like salt water, but it's a lake.
No, I'm pretty sure that's what they're called.
I'm sure you're right. I never.
Yeah, the Great Salt Lake. The Great Salt Lake is the largest saltwater lake in.
Oh well, so there you go. So it's salt water. It's not just.
Can you? Okay, so there is the salt lake, but there's also dried up parts of the salt lake. That's where all that salt.
And it's just
from.
salt. It's just a bunch of salt.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Like it used to be either big or there were little ones around it. I can't remember.
That's really weird.
I know.
Just a bunch of salt.
Yeah, just a lot of salt.
Just a lot of salt just laying around. Why do I pay for salt? Why don't I just go and scoop up some salt?
Well, if you live in Utah, I guess you could.
So the crew finds Jack and they're like, woohoo, but Jack doesn't believe that they are real.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a funny part where he's like, turns to Will and he's like, well, I know this isn't real. Like, are you here to ask me to help you save your lady? He's like, no. He's like, well, then I know this isn't real, because if this was real, that's what you'd be here for.
I feel like you should have been a lot more upset with Elizabeth.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is that something I wrote down is that it doesn't really answer any of the cliffhangers from the last film in a satisfying way, right? So
Will finally gets to know.
But it's like not satisfying. Like it's just like, oh, then it happens. Like Elizabeth kissing Jack is just kind of quickly resolved. Jack coming back is kind of just quickly resolved. Barbosa, it's like all these things that you were like, how are they gonna resolve all this?
Yeah.
It's like pretty quickly. I don't mean quickly in terms of like what point of the movie. I just mean like it's easily just explained away by the writing.
Yeah.
So anyway, so they get Jack. They go out into the water. They like we said, the River of Souls, people on the boat. And yeah, they killed her father.
So
off screen.
sad.
Again, this is one of the deleted scenes has to do with that. But you would have thought at least they would have had some bit of built like.
I assume they just like pushed him off or something, because they went into the, what are they called, the nincompoops? No, what are they called? The little boats.
The longboat?
No, he said something else. Gibbs said something else. Or no. Jack said something else. But anyways, so they were in those two little boats, and he was in the first one. So I just assumed, like, they either killed him and, pushed him over, or they just pushed him over and left him to die.
I don't know. It's never explained. But in any case, they killed him. Kind of sad. Oh, and you know what the last thing he says is? He says, I'll give your love to your mother.
And see, that scene made me cry because I was like, what a terrible way to find out. But then also, like, oh, like, you're just, like, never gonna see him again. You didn't get to say goodbye, like.
It makes her pretty pissed at Norrington later.
Which, like, I feel like is kind of justified. Like, he says, like, oh, I didn't know. But also, he was the one who gave Covington, no, what's his name?
Norrington?
No, Beckett. The idea. Because he was like, oh, like, what other information does the governor have or something? And Beckett, and Beckett was like, oh, I guess nothing. So he's not useful anymore. Longer used to us, so.
You can't just bring him back to Port Royal and leave him? Like, you gotta kill him? Again, that's the problem, is that a lot happens in this movie, but character motivations are very unclear most of the time.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Something else I noticed watching is, I think I talked about this last time, a lot of, like this movie and the last movie were both filmed, like, at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It does not seem like they were all filmed as one production. Like, when you watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy, it feels like a cohesive, singular vision. That all feels like you could... That's why people like watching them all through in one day. Because it feels like just one big movie that they just split up.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this one feels very different than the last one. Like, tonally, writing-wise... I don't know. So that's just something I noticed, that it just feels very different. I don't know if you had any take on that.
What did you just say?
If you don't stop researching things,
okay,
I'm gonna get actually kind of annoyed, because
okay.
I'm going through this stuff. I write all these notes, and you're looking up what do you call people from Singapore?
No.
What's the map of the world? So I would appreciate just a little bit more focus.
No.
I said that it just feels like these movies, they were filmed all at the same time, but they do not feel similar at all. They feel like very different.
No.
As opposed to Lord of the Rings, which all feels very consistent with it itself.
Yes, of course. We know that.
So do you agree? Disagree? Does this film feel the same as the first? Last one?
I agree. That's why I thought it was silly that you were asking me a question.
I didn't know if you... Okay.
I gotta figure out how they got to Singapore.
Oh my god! Fuck it with the Singapore! Please! Oh my god. So, you know who else is having relationship issues? Will and Elizabeth. Because they have major trust issues here.
Yeah, so I guess the thing with the loving Jack is dead, right? That's resolved. But now they're not speaking to each other? Because they make a point to say, like...
They're not really talking a lot.
Yeah, I thought we weren't talking or whatever.
Excuse me. And another thing is, like, the love triangle from the last movie was so fucking stupid. I'm glad it's not here.
I guess it was fake, though, just to trick him.
No, because she had the compass, and it was like... No.
Yes, I always forget.
No. So, it's... I'm glad it's not here anymore, because it was dumb.
Yeah.
But also at that point, it's like, well, you brought it, you introduced it, so like there's no payoff. It's just like, just the one movie there was a love triangle, and now there is no love triangle anymore.
So
like,
random.
You know what I mean? So, but like you had said before, everyone is using Elizabeth as like a bargaining chip.
Yeah.
We're kind of yada-yadaing a lot of the plot, but they go, and so I guess Will was in cahoots with the British in Sao Fang to like turn over something or other.
For what?
I don't know.
Did he say he would get them?
I think because he's doing whatever he needs to do to free his father. So he's like, if I can do this, then...
I think like, I'll give you Jack or something.
If you release my father's or something.
Or like the Flying Dutchman or
Yeah.
something. If you let me like get to Davy. I don't know, something.
It's strange.
It wasn't really made clear.
Yeah, and at some point, Sao Feng is like, I will do this if I can have Elizabeth. And she's like, fuck it, fine.
So random.
It was so random, and she's like, fuck it, fine.
They didn't establish that he was like liking her in the first scene with them. But also, I guess we find out later that he thinks that she is Calypso.
Yeah, that's the thing, is I think he thinks that she's Calypso.
But, like...
Why? I think they maybe say why, but...
Why would he be so weird to Calypso?
I don't know. She's not, she's not, she doesn't become a sex slave. But that's what it seems like.
He assaults her.
Oh, that's right. He tries to, like, kiss her or whatever, and she's like...
Yeah, and then he gets stabbed.
Yeah.
By the boat, not by her.
yes, because then they get attacked by the British with Davy Jones.
Wait. Yeah.
The British with Davy Jones.
It wasn't working with the British.
No, I think he was, but then he kind of got screwed over. I think. See, this is the problem, is I don't really understand who was with who.
No, you know what? I think that's right, because then later the same kind of thing happens with Beckett, and he's like, it's just good business.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But like I had said before, so Elizabeth is now on the Flying Dutchman, and she's in, like, the brig. And who does she find in the wall? Bootstrap Bill.
Yeah.
And he's really starting to, like, lose himself. He's
really in it now.
He doesn't quite remember everything when you bring it up, and then when he does, and then he'll have, like, the same conversation with you, like, 5 seconds later. Mm-hmm. Again, Stellan Skarsgård is so good in general, but he's also so good as this character, like, from the last film. Mm-hmm. And it's a shame that, like Davy Jones, he's also a little underused, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But...
Also, why?
What?
So the crew was only cursed because of Davy? And so, if they had, like...
I guess.
So once they get Will... all their stuff falls off.
Their fishy parts?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But he hasn't proven if he's going to fulfill the job or not. So.
And maybe, like, resets. Who knows?
Unanswered questions. Ted and Terry. We need to set up a Zoom call.
They really dropped the ball with this one. But also another thing that's really all over the place is Norrington and his arc. Like, it's just like, he's barely in the movie, and then they try to give him this, like, heroic,
yeah.
like, I'm gonna release you all and help, because then when he finds out that her father was murdered, he's like, shit, maybe I picked the wrong side.
Which I thought he thought that in the first one, but then I guess not.
I don't know. But then Norrington gets fucking impaled by Bootstrap Bill, who's just lost all, like, sense of himself. He's just like part of the crew, part of the ship, part of the crew, part of the ship, and that's, like, the thing they keep repeating over and over.
I guess.
And this kind of raises something I had noticed, where it's like, in this movie, I wouldn't say that any of the performances are bad or even, like, lackluster. Like, all the actors here are, like, bringing their A game. Mm-hmm. It's just that the material is just it's just all over the place. That I can imagine a lot of conversations on set where it's like, I'm sorry, what's happening with my character right now? Like, I don't quite know. I don't quite understand. Like, no one seems to be acting like how we've come to expect them to act. Yeah. Especially Will. I write that down later. Will feels like a completely different character. Like, he's, like, when he's with Beckett in Davy Jones, like, he's uncharacteristically confident. And, like, that's fine, but I don't quite understand how, like, wasn't his whole arc in the first movie, if my headcanon is correct, about bucking the British social order? Mm-hmm. But here he is trying to, like, ingratiate himself with Beckett. It just feels odd.
No. He's, like, living in between the two worlds.
I don't know.
Or at least that's what I thought.
It's just, I don't know.
Well, the editing also doesn't help, because there'll be, like, long stretches of something, and then we'll go back to something, and then I'm like, oh wait, oh yeah, like, this is going on. Or it'll be really quickly, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. It seemed like the editing was chaotic too. Like, it didn't help to the structuring of the kind of chaotic storytelling.
So let me ask you this. What do you think would have made this film more clear? Like, what needed to be removed or what needed to be added, or what needed to be altered or changed. Like, it's easy for us to say, like, oh, it was confusing, whatever. Like, what would, if we were given $1 million and we had to rewrite this, like, what would we do? Like, how do you make this better?
I think
it's not so easy.
No, I'm not saying it's easy, but I don't know. I think maybe focusing more on Calypso's relationship with Davy Jones and kind of how that all came to be.
Completely agree. That should have been the emotional core of the movie.
Also, why they have like matching music lockets, like there's a lot that like ties them together, but like is not explained at all.
Yeah.
And they kind of have like a little argument, but like I was saying, like because the timeline is unclear, I'm not really sure like if these arguments are even valid, because it's like I don't know, like who should be mad at who, you know?
I completely agree.
Not that one would be right and the other would be wrong, but just like, you know, where are the rights and the wrongs in each person?
Or what are the facts?
Yeah. So maybe if we saw like some flashbacks or something like that, that would make some more sense. Like if we never really find out the reason he doesn't show up, right? They didn't really say.
No, but they don't really say why she isn't there. She just says it's in my nature.
Oh, it was her who didn't show up.
Yeah, but I don't quite know what that means. Is it because she's like the weather and the weather's unpredictable? Like what does that mean?
See, I think maybe it should have been Davy who didn't show up, and it's because kind of like a.
Well, he only gets to go once every 10 years.
Kind of play from like Deadpool. Like he started to like become an octopus crab man, and so he's like, oh, she's not gonna want to see me, like, you know.
Okay.
I don't know. Something like that. That should have definitely had a lot bigger focus. And I was very confused and very unsatisfied when they supposedly release her from her human form, and then she just grows really big, says some spell, and then turns into a bunch of crabs. That was so random. I was like, what the fuck?
It was very strange.
I was like, what the hell just happened? And then everything just went about as normal. Like nothing happened. It was just like, what?
It ended up being basically a nothing burger. Because, like, they do that, and then because I guess Barbossa was hoping that if they did that, then she would, like, unleash her sea powers on the British. Which she doesn't really do. So it's kind of just like, oh, well, that didn't work. Okay, moving on. And obviously there's that big storm and the maelstrom, as they call it. Right, it's the big storm. But it doesn't really seem like very character motivated, because it seems very random and impartial. Like, it's not like she's using her powers against Jones or the British.
Like, if that's all she wanted, like, I feel like maybe she could have been, like, kidnapping pirates or something, and then, like, making them come together to do the 9 pieces of 8 or whatever. Or, like, how long has she been that way? Like, okay, Davy showed them how to do it, but how does he know? And then also,
if she's in mortal form, doesn't that mean that she would have died a long time ago?
Well, her soul is still a god.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. Well, you would think... Never mind.
No, please. What?
Well, I was just gonna say, you would think that if she was a goddess in the form of a human, she would have elected to have teeth that aren't covered in like tar.
Yeah, she's pretty grimy in these two movies.
It's like she brushed with charcoal toothpaste but never spit it out. It's like
I don't know. I just don't know. But I agree with your overall sentiment that I feel like they should have developed their relationship a little bit more. And if anything, that should have been the core of the movie, and how and reflecting and meditating on that would inform our understanding of all the other character relationships in the film. And the film would be about trust, and because isn't that whole thing, that's
British
the issue with...
would be like a conflicting force with them trying to solve this issue. It would be like, like a thorn in their side or whatever.
Because Will and Elizabeth have trust issues.
Yeah, all of a
they have
sudden.
trust issues. No, you know what I'm saying? So like it would have
All
it
of
would
a
have
sudden.
it would have
It would have been a nice parallel.
That's what I'm saying. Is exactly. Especially because spoiler alert, he becomes like the new Davy Jones.
Yes.
Like it would have been interesting to like really lean into that a bit more.
Yeah.
But I think they just had way too much on their plate to.
Yeah. There is something else I was gonna say, but like, I don't know. I don't remember.
But here's the thing, is Barbossa wants to free her, but he has to convince the other pirate lords to do it. So they go to Shipwreck Cove.
Sorry, that was the other thing I was gonna say, is that they meet her in the last movie, but she's all like buddy with Jack, but like he's part of the Federation who like put her into...
No, well that's the thing, is that it was the first Brethren Court, which was maybe like 200 years ago or something.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
This would be the fourth, like the pirate lords passed down their titles.
Oh, okay.
That's what the 9 pieces of 8 are. It's
feel like, I don't know. I feel like...
Which also we were very confused about.
Introduced a little bit more.
That could have been, again, it sounds like a broken record. Everything could have been more clear. Nothing in this movie was clear enough.
Well, you were asking me how to solve it, and so I think introducing that a little bit more in the last movie could have then led into the Federation, even though I feel like the Federation is unnecessary.
Yeah. That's what I was saying before, where it doesn't feel like this is part 2 of the last story.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like they wrote the second one, filmed it, and then, like, decided more stuff afterwards. As opposed to, like, the benefit of doing it all at once is, like, you have this clear story.
Be more cohesive. Yeah, like with the Lord of the Rings. Like, you would think it'd be more cohesive. Especially because they're filmed.
Because that's how the books were written as well. The Lord of the Rings books, is that it was written as one big book, and then the publisher was like, let's split up into 3. That's why it works. As like when people talk about it being like the best movie trilogy ever, it's not really fair, because most movie trilogies aren't intended to be trilogies. They make the first one like exactly like this. They made the first one, it's successful, and then they decide to make 2 and 3. So that's why oftentimes 2 and 3 are kind of like similar in terms of like their narratives, like ambitions. Whereas Lord of the Rings was always conceived like that was the story.
Yeah.
It was by J.R.R. Tolkien in terms of writing the novel. But they go to the 4th Brethren Court. Lots of politicking happening. Keith Richards, who is the inspiration for Jack Sparrow, according to Johnny Depp, plays Jack Sparrow's father? Which they don't make clear.
Also wasn't made clear. I knew he had to be a relative because he had the head of his mom, right?
Of his mother, yeah.
But I thought it might have been like his brother, because like, how old is he supposed to be? Like, they kind of seem brother, age, but like difference. They don't seem father age difference, but you would think he'd be more gray. Like have gray in his dreadlocks or something.
I kind of don't like that we
or hey
met.
Son, or
Jack Sparrow's the kind of character that I don't want to know anything about him, his backstory. No, because what kind of makes him interesting is that like you don't quite know like what rumor, what legends are true and what's like it's kind of like the Joker, where it's like some version, like some storylines of Batman have like gone into Joker's origin, but like the best version of the Joker, like you don't know we don't even know his name. We don't know like he's just like this like almost force of nature. And I feel like with Jack Sparrow, it's for me at least something similar, where it's like the less I know about his backstory, the better.
Yeah.
So like, I kind of not a huge fan that we like meet his father.
Well, okay, so apparently they are 20 years age difference, which but like it just doesn't seem that way visually. If that makes sense.
I completely understand what you're talking. They make Keith Richards look younger, and then as Jack Sparrow, they make Johnny Depp look older.
Yeah, because how far in the future is this? And why was the...
Presumably this is only a few months after this last one, and the last one was maybe only a year or 2 after the first one. So it's only been like a couple of years, max.
Okay.
I think.
But he's still supposed to be a lot older than Will and Elizabeth.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, so...
He's like Han Solo, and they're like Luke and Leia.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Which now I'm saying is weird because Han Solo and Leia end up together. But he's like at least 15 years older than both of them.
Well, we saw...
Well, what's worse? A guy 15 years older or your brother. She's kissed both of them. Talk about not having an idea of where you were going.
Yeah. Fix that, George.
So I forget the context. I'm sorry. We're really doing a poor job of relaying the plot.
I'm sorry.
But like I said, you really need to watch this.
This might be a really bad episode, but I feel like this goes in tandem with the movie. Like,
I always say that, though, about the show, is that our worst episodes, I think it's also a reflection of the movie.
Yeah,
because we can only be as interesting as the movie allows us to be.
I mean, because this is what's being brought up, but then also, like, the through line is also very scattered because that's how it is in the movie.
Exactly.
So, like, okay, now we're at the Federation, but, like, also what we were talking about earlier, they're, like, in Singapore or something. And I don't know. Also, they traveled through the Arctic.
At one point, yeah, they're going to the Arctic.
No one died. Surely they would have had hypothermia.
Well, maybe it wasn't the Arctic. Maybe it was just, like, a really cold area of, like, the ocean. Because there'd be iceberg. I mean, Titanic. Like, there was just an iceberg in the middle of the ocean.
No. There was, like, a whole cave of ice.
Oh shit! I don't know.
Remember that guy broke.
But then, so they do that, but then they end up going like they do that, and then eventually they're not in cold anymore. Like before they go over. So like, was it just this one area that it was really cold? I don't know. It doesn't really matter.
I don't know. Well, I looked on the map, and supposedly you could go around America, like North America, to get to Singapore. So maybe that was that.
No. Because isn't like Canada like basically landlocked to the Arctic Circle? Like isn't that just a bunch of solid ice and land? Like
no.
There's ocean above Canada?
Yeah.
Like really?
In between Canada and Greenland? Yeah.
Oh, let me see. What? Oh my god.
And then you just go around.
What? Oh my gosh, that's really cool. I didn't know that.
Well, I guess the straight.
I was making fun of Americans not understanding geography. And I'm like,
ooh.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a popular way to go.
Well, see, that'd be hard. You have to know the way, because that's not like a big ocean. Like, to be fair, what you just showed me, it's just a bunch of little, like, inlands and islands and stuff. Like,
no, yeah.
So you need to, like, know the way.
It's not a popular way to go, but I think there, at the time, might not have been a way to get through South America yet. And
like go below it, you mean? Like go around it?
Yeah, like the Panama Canal or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that wasn't until like the 1890s or 1900 or something.
Yeah, because there are like large lakes or like waterways, but I don't think they're fully through. Like there's a big lake in Nicaragua, but like to get there, there's like land right there.
It's not really feasible.
No, yeah. So maybe that was that, but I don't know. But like,
I love how we're just fixed. Like that guy, it doesn't really matter.
No, the guy broke off his toe because it was like his foot was frozen. He broke off his toe.
Oh, that's right.
But then you got other people, and they like Orlando Bloom. Like he was not acting cold at all. He just had like white dust on him. Like
I don't even think he was wearing a coat or anything.
No, and that's what I'm saying. They're from the Caribbean. They just left Singapore. They're in summer clothes. They would die.
That's the thing, yeah. It's like if you just went to like the northeast of the United States, you'd be really cold because you're the Caribbean. Try the Arctic. But I forget like what happens leading up to this. But they do the
and then they go to the water where it's like Life of Pi. It's like the skies and then.
Whoa, yeah, but we're already. You went backwards. We're at like the pirate court.
Oh.
Yeah, you went backwards to the. I don't know why you went backwards.
Well, that's when they were in the Arctic, though.
I know.
Anyway.
We already went over that part.
Also, how did he know to flip the ship upside down?
Because he saw up is down.
Yeah, but like...
I don't
know. That just seems very sketchy. Also, how did his crew... Xiaofang, yeah. How did Xiaofang's crew get, like, know that too? Because they meet them over there.
Don't they all go on the same boat?
No. They take some of his crew. But then he still has, like, the majority of his crew.
I don't know.
Anyways, so they're at the court.
Anyway, I thought you would like this. They make her king.
Oh, yes. So he was, like, getting very rapey, and then he made her king.
No.
Xiao Fang.
No, he made her a pirate lord.
Oh,
he didn't make
pirate
her king.
lord. Oh, yes, but then they elected... Yes. Because usually there is no king because they all elect for themselves, right? But Jack...
But see, you know what?
Also elected for Elizabeth.
This would be solved with ranked choice voting.
Ranked choice vote. They all rank themselves number 1.
But then, okay, but...
And then themselves number 2.
No, you can't vote for yourself twice. But eventually we get to this amazing image of, like, this Western showdown. But because Davy Jones can't go on land, he's in like a bucket of water.
He's in a bucket of water.
Like, the most... Like, oftentimes, writers will write themselves into a corner, and they'll either come up with really bad solutions to it, or just not do what they want. Like, I think the real thing, sometimes as a writer, you just gotta take the L and go, I can't do what I want to do, because I already established this other rule. This is the most flagrant, just like, we're gonna do it, and we're gonna do, like, the most contrived way. Fuck you, we're gonna do it.
They could have met on a ship. For that very reason. But, like...
What happens if he goes on, like what happens? So does someone have to carry him?
I don't know.
And then
what
put him in?
What happen? Does he turn to dust or something? Like...
I don't know.
That was so funny.
It was just the image is really funny.
Because, like you were saying, it takes itself so seriously, but then it does shit like that.
Oh, something completely unrelated. But I have to tell you this. So, I think you're going to think this is hilarious. So, Kingdom Hearts.
Okay.
One of my favorite series. Kingdom Hearts 2 came out in 2005, 2006. Mm-hmm. They included a Pirates of the Caribbean world, and the storyline followed the events of the first film.
Yeah.
And that was 2005, 2006. Then a bunch of spin-offs, Kingdom Hearts is the whole other can of worms. Kingdom Hearts 3 finally comes out in 2019. And they decide, because now they have, like, better graphics, we're going to do Pirates of the Caribbean again. Because what was always so funny about Pirates of the Caribbean and Kingdom Hearts 2 was that they, like, usually in Kingdom Hearts, like, they try to make the visual styles kind of link up, even though it's, like, all different movies. Mm-hmm. In Kingdom Hearts 2, it's just kind of like a shitty PS2 game that's trying to look realistic in terms of, like, the human characters.
Okay.
And then Donald Duck.
Okay.
They do nothing. Like, the lighting is different. Like, it's just, if you look up pictures of it, it's hilarious. Like, Kingdom Hearts 3, they were like, we have the graphics now to do it. We're gonna do it.
Okay.
But they don't do the plot line of the second film.
Oh.
They do the plot line of this film.
Why?
But I had never seen it. They try to, like, half-ass the story. Well, I was gonna say they that's true, but I hadn't remembered. It was 15 years ago.
No.
What Kingdom Hearts will do is sometimes they'll just, like, play scenes from the movie, but, like, reanimate them in Kingdom Hearts style.
Yes.
And, like, it's not even like Sora or Donald or Goofy are even in it. It's just, like, scenes from the movie.
No, yeah, I remember.
But they don't do it for the whole movie. So if you haven't seen the movie, that world of Kingdom Hearts 3 is notorious for being like, if you have not seen the movie, you will have no idea what's going on. It was so fucking funny. And now having seen the movie, I'm like, no wonder I couldn't follow what was going on. I just watched the actual movie and I still didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah, I feel like even watching the movie, you wouldn't know how to do it.
But the clip of him in the barrel of water was in Kingdom Hearts 3. So I was already prepared for it when it happened, but I'd forgotten about it.
Also, apparently it was true. He would probably turn to dust or ashes.
Get all ashy. But anyway, so we're finally up. Now we're moving chronologically. This is when Tia Dalma becomes Calypso. And it's so fucking funny because in order to do, like, the spell, you have to say it like a lover.
I guess she always was, but, like...
But you have to say the incantation like a lover.
Oh my god,
And then Ragetti with his little eyeball, he's like, no, you have to say it like this. And he's like, I release you from your punch, Calypso. And she makes a face. Talk about vinegar strokes, you know?
What?
Vinegar strokes is like a term like for your O face.
Oh.
Because it's like the face you would make if you're like drinking vinegar and you're like, oh.
I've never heard that before. But okay.
I guess I don't really care for that, because if anything, I'd be like making like a sour face, like,
yeah, like.
But she fucking, I don't know what they were thinking in that direction. They were like, all right, Naomi Harris, all right, we're going in for a take and action. Oh. She really makes like the big O face.
Very awkward scene.
And then she gets really big, and then she says something in French, and then she turns into crabs. And then Barbosa
she got
was like,
crabs.
Barbosa was just like, well, that was useless.
And they were like, what next? She was
and
like,
then
nothing.
and this kind of ties into what I was saying about the film feeling very self-serious.
What? 1 second before you say that, can we go back to the fact that Barbosa's piece of the 9/8 or whatever is Righetti's eyeball?
Again, yeah, weird retcon to just like try to make it all feel more cohesive, but it's just like.
And also, why would he be a part of that if Jack was the captain? Or was it while Jack was gone? But then why would Jack?
That's another question. Was Barbosa a captain before Jack? Or was he became captain one, like,
no,
was he ever a captain before? But was he ever a captain before that?
No, I don't think so. He was just second mate. He was like the second in
But I'm saying before he met Jack. What was he doing before? What was his resume?
Probably swabbing the deck.
Swabbing the deck?
I don't know.
He has real captain material. No wonder he committed mutiny.
Anyways, okay, so the seriousness.
Oh, I was gonna say Elizabeth makes this speech that is so corny.
Oh my god! Yeah.
And I like corny. Like I'm not cynical.
It's corn.
It's just so like, and again, it's like the language. It's they're talking as if it's like fucking Braveheart. You're you're not a marginalized group.
Well, they were.
But I mean, like, it's like, I don't care if pirates don't exist anymore.
They do.
I know, but it's a big ad. Like, the first movie never made me, like, be like, being a pirate it's really important we have pirates. I'm not saying pirates, like, because look, I'm all against capitalism, right? We made it very clear. But it's like, the movie has never made an argument that convincing to me of like, this is really important. Like, they kind of make them out to be like freedom fighters, like they're doing an important service for the world. No, the first movie was just like, we like to steal shit, pillage and plunder.
No, yeah. You know what? I did notice that a lot. This movie is that
like they make them out to be like superheroes. But
yeah, is that they try to like, I don't know if it's like humanize, but it seems like they're like trying to make good like bad people. Or like, I don't know.
Pirates canceled.
Like with Davy Jones or something. It's like, oh, poor Davy Jones, you know, blah 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 blah. But like,
he was slacking at his job.
He's made some very crucial decisions himself, you know. Oh, and also we forgot to say that Beckett made Davy kill the Kraken.
Oh yeah, which I was very surprised by, because I think the Kraken is in the final boss fight of the Kingdom Hearts 3 of the Pirates world. So I don't know. I guess they were just like, we want to use the Kraken. We're gonna put him in the boss fight. I could be wrong about that, but so we start to get to the climax, and like the entire like British Armada is out here like to fight them.
Yeah.
And this is kind of like late into the movie, but this is when I noticed, and I wrote this note down. Like, I think what makes, like, it not sound like a broken record, but what made the first film so endearing is that, like, you really understood, even if it was, like, thin. Like, Barbosa was not a complex character. But at least you understood, it was very clear what he wanted and what he was willing to do to get it, right? Beckett, I feel very confused about. I don't quite understand, like, what motivates him, what he really wants.
It was very clear last time. And now, I'm unsure.
Because it's like, he's like a dog chasing the mail truck. It's like, now he has the heart. It's like, now I'm gonna control the seas and make it difficult for people to smuggle goods without paying the proper tax.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, okay, like, again, that's what I was trying to say before, where it's like, this existential threat is not compelling to me.
Like, I'm confused as to why he made him kill the Kraken, because I thought that's how he was going to...
Control the seas!
Control the pirates, yeah.
That's... I don't know. That's a real... I didn't even think of that. That's a really good point. They I thought that was his whole, like, obviously the Flying Dutchman itself
because
is scary and powerful, but like
pet. It's his pet.
It's a really good
yeah.
I think they just forgot. I think they were just like I think they were just like, we don't know how to incorporate the Kraken into this narrative, which is a shame because, like I said, it was like one of the best parts of the last movie.
I guess they didn't want to redo it, but like also the mouse.
Well, you could have upped the ante. Davy Jones could have he could have rode it, like it was like a horse. You know what I mean? He could have.
That could have been funny.
Yeah.
Funny. But I just feel like the mouse term is so silly. Like, it's just so ridiculous.
Like I said, because, like, in the final...
It's just to up the ante of their fight.
Yeah. Well, because in Kingdom Hearts 3, the Kraken, it's in that whirlpool.
Oh.
So I'm saying that would have been cool and added to this fight, but also something about this fight. The fight feels too big. It's crazy.
Now that you say that, that could have been they could have made that into something. Having the Kraken and the whirlpool, and then like
the Kraken in the whirlpool.
Yeah, but then Davy's like yelling at Calypso like why are you doing this to me? I'm already cursed or something, or like why have you turned my pet against me, or something like that. I thought we'd be together.
The Kraken represented his power.
Yeah.
So to include it in this film would have, but you could have recontextualized it where the Kraken is severely neutered, figuratively, not like literally, obviously. Or Calypso's using it against Davy Jones, it would have been an interesting thematic thing.
Yeah.
But they just are just like. But then Jack is sad about the Kraken. Like, why are they sad?
I don't know.
He ate you.
I don't know.
That's crazy.
Because I feel like that'd be emotionally compelling because it's like your dog has turned against you. It's like why are you doing this? Like, you hate me so much, you've turned me into an octopus man, and you've turned one of the only people that I connect to against me.
Which is really sad. That's his only friend.
Is
a cephalopod.
He's got his crew. Also I guess Rigetti is a scientist now. He was
it's a cephalopod.
It's a cephalopod.
But yeah, this final fight feels just way too big. It's raining. There's 800 people fighting all at once. It just seems way too much. It feels it feels like.
And oh no, they're turning on their sides because they're going closer and closer
to the whirlpool. Yeah, it just feels like too much is happening. But I guess not too much because Will and Elizabeth are let's get married. And Barbossa, I guess, can be
so confused.
Barbossa. Well, it's good for them, though, because otherwise they wouldn't have been able to get married. Because then he wouldn't have been able to go on land for 10 years. And then they wouldn't have been able to get married because he couldn't go to the church.
Well, he still got up on land that day.
He got a lot up that day. But we'll get there. So they were very busy. They were busy, as we saw in the post-credits scene. And I called it. I said they definitely boned.
I didn't say you did it.
Okay. Anyway. So, but I guess Barbossa, as a captain of a ship, Jack alludes to this in the last movie. I guess if you're a captain of a ship, you can marry people and whatever. Yeah. And again, I think it's interesting that I wrote this down because we talked about it. This came up naturally in our conversation now. But I said I would have liked more contrast with the romances, right? With Calypso and Davy Jones, and then with Will and Elizabeth. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to kind of yada the climax. So Jack basically wants... This whole movie, Jack is kind of toying with the idea of stabbing the heart. Because the whole idea is that if you kill Davy Jones, the Dutchman needs a captain. The Dutchman needs a captain. So whoever kills Davy Jones will have to rip out his own heart. Mm. Which I didn't know that was part of the curse. I thought the whole point was that he ripped out his heart because of his love. And I thought...
Yeah.
I thought that was secondary to his role as the captain of the Flying Dutchman. Unique to him. I didn't realize that was now a qualification of being the captain of the Dutchman.
But also, Will didn't take out his own heart. What would have happened if his dad didn't cut out his heart?
But the Dutchman needs a captain. Bootstrap would have become captain. Someone else would have become captain.
I guess.
So Jack wants to do it. because he's thinking it'd be eternal life, whatever.
Because his regular life being a captain didn't work out too well.
But Davy Jones kills Will, or stabs him at least. So I think the idea is like he needs to do it. Because that way he'll live forever, basically. So he does that, he stabs the heart, Davy Jones is like, oh, and then he collapses and dies. And now Will is the new captain of the Dutchman.
Well, it was important because Jack helped him.
Jack gave up his chance.
Yeah, so he helped him. Like
so a little bit of a character arc there.
It kind of looked like he had done it, but I think he made Will grab it on the side, and then he was pushing it, so I don't know.
I see. It was through a technicality.
Yeah.
I see, okay.
The character arc of a technicality.
Yes. I love when character arcs are fulfilled through a technicality. That's always great. And it's fucking great because then the Pearl and the Dutchman go after Beckett.
Yes.
In a scene that has been used for meme material for 15 years now.
Oh my god!
Of him just calmly walking through the ship as it's getting, like, obliterated. Like, I'm sorry, the amount of force, like, you would not be walking like that.
That was so ridiculous. That was so silly, silly.
But also, again, not part of the movie at all. But I think it's a critique of capitalism. Because, as we established, Beckett, the Easy Entry, it's all about early capital, right?
Sure.
When they start attacking him, Beckett just he's just resigned, and he's just like, it's just good business. Like, it's like you just submit over to the idea of like the free market. Mm-hmm. Whatever's gonna happen's gonna happen, and there's no judgment on it. It's just what's natural.
I guess
right,
so.
And it's like, no, bro, it's not just good business. You're about to get clobbered. And I was really hoping they were gonna do like in the Mel Gibson movie The Patriot, where a cannonball would like rip his head off. That would have been really funny.
I think he didn't necessarily know about Davy, and so he's like, why is the Dutchman turning on us? But like, it's just good business.
Yeah.
They're like, orders? What are your orders, sir? And
he's like, it's just...
They're like, abandoned ship!
Yeah, and he's just like, all right, well, I'm gonna... But again, this last moment's like so dramatic and like artsy, whatever. Yeah. But I don't know or care enough. I don't know enough about Beckett. I'm not saying I have to like him, but I don't really know enough about him.
Yeah.
Or I don't mean details. I just mean like what is in his soul. Like what is he...
What's in his soul?
No, but you know what I mean? What is he made of? What does he want really?
I feel like...
Who is he?
They were really trying to do a Titanic here and make it emotional, but like there's just not that tie. And what tie is there is that he's a bad guy.
That's the thing, is that at least with Barbossa, he was also a one-dimensional villain. But again, like I said...
But you also saw the humanity.
You saw the humanity.
With the apples.
Something
so simple.
No, but that's exactly what I'm saying, is that there was enough there. And also, he was just a well-performed character. He was always interesting.
So if Beckett was like, trying to do it to save a spoiled family name, or to prove himself, I don't know, after getting, beat down all his life or something. Like if there was just like something else there, then I feel like it would have been more emotionally grabbing, but instead it was just a very big meme.
Yeah. We barely got to know him over 2 very long movies.
He was barely in this movie.
Yeah, that's the...
like, at all.
But one last thing I thought was very sweet. So yeah, so the crew of the Dutchman are basically free to go, and they're no longer fishy. They're normal now, including Bootstrap.
Yeah.
And, Will's like, I did what I promised I would do. You're free. Like, your debt is... You no longer have a debt. And Bootstrap is like, I still have a debt to be paid. Because if you think about it, all this started, the very first movie, all of this started because Will was going across the ocean to find his father. Mm-hmm. That's how the first movie starts.
Is that what he was doing?
He was... Remember, he said, I came out here looking for my father's, what he says as an adult to Jack.
Yes, So what...
That's why he was crossing
it's just like some random pirates that shot them down or whatever?
I think it was the Pearl. Because remember, Elizabeth saw... In the first one, Elizabeth saw the black sails.
Oh, yes.
But I'm saying it's like kind of a nice bookend because
some contention there, no? Some tension?
I guess
Maybe
so,
he didn't
yeah.
remember. I don't know.
But it wasn't bootstrap had already probably been bootstrapped, whatever.
Okay. So
But in any case, so I'm just saying it's a sweet moment where he's like, I still have a debt to pay because it's like the lost time, like just being a pirate and
with his
because he failed him, you know what I mean? Because he was off being a pirate and.
Well, yeah, he chose selfishness in.
That's what I mean.
In
So
life.
I thought that was a sweet little moment.
In death, he wants to.
But and then we have the denouement, and everyone's living their life now, and
What?
the denouement. So it's a French term that they use when you talk about script writing, where it's like after the climax. Like it's a French word, literally meaning like untying the knot. So it's like after the climax and all the conflict's been resolved. It's like the new status quo has been established.
Yes.
So everyone's off doing their thing now, and Will and Elizabeth bone on the beach, and then he goes off. Jack and Gibbs are still causing mischief or whatever. His ship, the Pearl gets stolen by Barbossa. So Jack's in a dinghy right where he started.
Dinghy, yeah.
Oh, a dinghy.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was trying to say earlier.
Oh, I didn't know that's what you were talking about.
Well, you said longboats.
I think it's different. I don't know. A longboat, I think, fits like 15, 20 people.
Oh, well, I was trying to say dinghy.
Oh, well, how was I to know what you were trying to say?
I was describing it.
Well, if you described it, why couldn't you just say it?
I didn't remember the term.
Okay. Do you want to hear some trivia?
Sure.
You do? I'll just skip the trivia. Why not? There's some juicy stuff in here.
No, they want to know the
trivia. You guys want to know the trivia? Yeah. It's like Dora. It's like, do you guys want to do trivia? Long pause. Well, okay. The most expensive film ever made at the time, not adjusted for inflation. The budget ran to $300 million. That's more than the budget of all 3 Lord of the Rings films combined.
Wow.
Probably a big portion of that was like actor salaries, like Johnny Depp. Especially after the success of the first film.
I guess, but I mean, there were some stars in Lord of the Rings, right? So. Yes,
but I'm saying that. Well, don't forget that they filmed all those at the same time. And not necessarily, they're not huge movie stars in Lord of the Rings. At least back then. Again, Orlando Bloom, that was like his first really big thing. Right? And also they were all filmed at the same time, so there was no like the movie being successful and then them being like, hey, raise my pay.
Yeah, that's
Whereas with this one, they made the first film was super successful. They made the second film super successful. I think a lot of that was like, right?
So can I just say that
no, you cannot just
Orlando Bloom looks really good in this film. Like, he's just, like, perfectly tan. He's got his little hair. Oh, my gosh. And then when he comes back as the captain of the Flying Dutchman, and he's got his do-rag. His little do-rag on. He just looks... And his scar on his chest. He just looks so cute.
Are you done thirsting after Orlando Bloom?
The Caribbean has done him well.
Well, that's the thing. Everyone should have nice tans.
Oh, yes, Elizabeth does, too.
A lot of pasty people in the first movie. Yeah, Elizabeth is very tan in this movie. But I don't know if that's just, like, the color correction, though, I feel like. It's like, very, like, warm tones in a lot of the movie.
But hers doesn't look as good, though, because her hair is the same color. And so it kind of just, like, blends all together.
Mm-hmm. It's a shame.
Anywho,
the green flash is a real but very rare optical phenomenon during sunrise or sunset that is best observed at sea. It is caused by the refraction of light in the atmosphere amplified by a mirage.
Oh, I thought they were just talking about Aurora Borealis because...
No, because they say it's just one quick thing. Aurora Borealis would be like, it's there.
I know, but I mean, they were talking about it while in the Arctic, that, Context.
A real-life council of pirates existed at one time, which I had alluded to before. The Brethren of the Coast was a loose coalition of pirates and buccaneers active in the 17th and 18th centuries in the Atlantic Ocean, Caribbean Sea, and Gulf of Mexico. They had a base on the island of Tortuga, which I guess is a real place.
Oh, real place.
This might be a very fictionalized version of it, or, like something like that. The island of Tortuga off the coast of Haiti, and in Port Royal, Jamaica. The Brethren, which I guess is also a real place.
So she's living in Jamaica?
Mm-hmm. Colonizing all the native people and bringing over black people from Africa.
For what? Like sugar?
Yeah, probably like plantations like that. The Brethren were originally French Huguenots and British Protestants, but their ranks were joined by other adventurers of various nationalities, including Spaniards and Africans. So a very diverse group.
Yes.
The Brethren of, what they call themselves? The Brethren of the Coast.
Okay. Okay.
Filming started without a finished script.
I think we talked about that, yeah.
Which again...
Or the last one. It was the last one.
Oh, I think, yeah, they were like coming up with the pages on the day, or like the night before or something, yeah. The film is the first... This one's really funny. The film is the first of the franchise in which Captain Barbossa's first name, Hector, is said. Interestingly, the writers did not initially plan on giving the character a first name. In the commentary for the first film, Johnny Depp jokingly said that Barbossa's name was Hector. This comment was misinterpreted by fans to be the character's actual name, and thus left the writers to feel they had no choice but to include it in the franchise. So Johnny Depp just like made it up on a whim in a commentary on like the DVD.
That's funny. Because I was like, oh wait, is he Spanish? Like Hector Barbosa.
Yeah.
Like,
well, as we talked about in the first movie, Barbossa is probably a reference to, I think, a Italian something, Barbarossa. It's like very similar. The scenes in Davy Jones' locker were shot in Utah. The monochromatic style was used to represent its antithesis from the usual colorful pirate environment. Which is kind of interesting because in the Caribbean it's all lush and stuff and
I guess.
like green, lots of bright colors, and it's like very lush. This is the first film in the franchise to portray that common pirate stereotype, the eye patch.
What? Oh, the eye patch.
It's the first time in the franchise that someone's had an eye patch, I guess.
Rigetti.
Hans Zimmer stated in an interview that he wrote the music for the films as if he was scoring a, quote, biker movie. Oh. And that during the process, he substituted the ships for motorcycles in his mind when viewing the film.
What?
That's very... Hans Zimmer, he's so funny.
He is funny.
He
knows his stuff, though.
If any of you listening have ever used, like, Masterclass... I never watched this one, but there was... Hans Zimmer has one, but I would always see, like, the ads for his Masterclass. Mm-hmm. And he was always talking, and in the clip is like, he plays like music, and he's like, music, it's all, you know, I think he's like Austrian or something, right, or German. Oh. And he'll play like a little melody that kind of feels like unresolved. He's like, doo-doo-doo, there's a question, doo-doo-doo, there's the answer. And then he'll go like, doo-doo, and he's like, ooh, bit of a dodgy question there. So whenever I hear about Hans Zimmer composing, I just imagine him like being like all delightful, like... Anyway, Keira Knightley has stated that this is fucking funny. Keira Knightley has stated that due to exhaustion, she fell asleep. Keira Knightley.
Not Kiara.
Oh, sorry. Keira Knightley has stated that due to exhaustion, she fell asleep during the premiere of the film. As a result, she has never seen the completed film. Or the complete film. Since she doesn't own her films on DVD and never watches them again after the first screening, she's unlikely to do so. What? So she's probably never seen this movie in its entirety.
I don't think she'll want to.
No. While the events of the movie are obviously fictitious, the real-life East India Trading Company did possess its own naval forces and did participate in joint anti-piracy operations with the British Royal Navy. So that was kind of answering what we were talking about last time. Like it was a company, but it was partially owned by the country of England, like the government. Huh. And it's like when you watch like dystopian sci-fi movies, which are becoming more and more real every day, where it's like a company. Well, I think like an Avatar. Like that's like a company, but they have like military.
Oh, yes. It's
like the same thing. It's like the same idea, right?
Yes, I gotcha.
Okay, so this is really interesting. And in fact, one of these I thought was in the movie. Because I've seen it like on Tumblr. Okay. Two major plot points are revealed in the deleted scenes. Number one is about Governor Swan learning the truth about Jones's heart, which he mentions when he's on his little sailboat. He kind of mentions something about like, I found out what would happen if you tried to stab the heart, that you would have to become, right? So that scene occurs when Beckett and Norrington first board the Dutchman. Cruelly, Davy Jones tells Governor Swan that Elizabeth is dead, which isn't true. So he tries to stab, which actually is technically true because they're in like Davy Jones' locker. So he tries to stab the heart, and Jones mockingly tells him what would happen if he did.
What would happen?
He would have to become the captain.
Oh, yeah.
This is the most interesting thing. Number two occurs, and do not look this up while we're doing it. Watch it later.
I'm not doing it.
Number two relates to finding out about the cause of the original loss of the Black Pearl. Remember you were asking like, oh, why Why didn't he just build a new ship, whatever? So here's the backstory. Who knows if this is canon? Doesn't really matter because this franchise is basically dead. But it's a deleted scene, and
you wait 20 years.
So it's an extended cut of the discussion between Lord Beckett and Jack. Remember when Jack is in Lord Beckett's office?
Yeah.
It is revealed that years ago, Beckett had a deal with Jack to steal some cargo. But the cargo turned out to be slaves.
Oh.
So Jack set them free. In return, Beckett burned and sank the Black Pearl and branded him as pirate.
Oh.
And Beckett, in the scene, Beckett is amazed to see the pearl afloat and says that Jack paid, quote, a heavy price to have her back. So the implication is that he went to Jones and was like, can you raise my ship from the proverbial dead?
Oh, that would have been good to put in.
It's a great scene. And that's what I'm saying. I saw it on Tumblr.
That would definitely have added a new dimension to his character.
And there's a line that you would see, that I would see on Tumblr all the time, because people would be like obsessing over Jack Sparrow and lusting after him and trying to make him seem like a much better guy than he was or is presented. But there's a line he has where he's like, you had a very simple job of delivering this cargo, and he says, people aren't cargo, mate. You know, so I do not understand why they cut that.
That would have been good.
Maybe too political. Today they would have done it, but maybe back then they were like, we don't want to talk about slavery.
Why? So, it's like every other movie they make is about slavery.
No, I know, but I don't know.
But no, I think that would have been really great, because that would answer so many questions. But then it would
just give us a little wrinkle.
It would also show that Jack is
deep down a good guy,
devious and you know, cunning, but just in nature and not in a malicious way. Like, he doesn't... He's
chaotic neutral. He
knows, like, good. And he's just, you know, the way he is. It's like, I don't know. You know, leave it to Beaver or something. I don't know.
Leave it to Beaver? What the hell are you talking about?
I don't know. It's just like, he's just silly, right? And sometimes it's bad. Sometimes it's bad. But, like, he knows at least deep down, like, what is good.
Yes. He does what he does knowing what he should do.
Yes.
He's not unaware.
Yes.
And
there's like a line. Mm-hmm. You know.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's like when I say I don't want to know about Jack, like I want like that scene is very simple. It gives us a glimpse.
I don't want to know
about his father.
How he grew up.
Yeah, I don't care about that. I care about I remember I read one of them as a kid. There were children's novels, detailing his, like, when he was a teen and like him becoming Jack Sparrow as we know him.
Those.
I read the first one. I liked it, but I was also like 9 years old, so I don't know if it would hold up to scrutiny if I were to read it. But anyway, so that's the trivia. So now we talk about the critical reception.
Oh, that was it.
That was the trivia.
Oh. Yeah,
that was it.
Small trivias.
Well, you know, sometimes there's a lot of trivia, sometimes not as much trivia. Anyway. So on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 44%. Again, like I said, spoiler alert, the Letterboxd scores on Rotten Tomatoes, like, they all are worse than the one before. All of them. It goes downhill. So here's the critical consensus on Rotten Tomatoes. Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End provides the thrilling action scenes, but mixes in too many characters with too many incomprehensible plot threads. I think that's right on the money. Mm-hmm. More contemporary... Modern reception on Letterboxd has a 3.3 out of 5, which I think is almost a little generous. I would probably go a little bit lower, but not too much lower. Again, I don't want to spoil what my rating's going to be, but I think the movie's a net positive, but just barely so. I think it's just there's a good movie in here somewhere.
A 5.
A 5's mediocre. Oh, am I spoiling 6. it? I'm going to do a 6. Because a 6 for me is okay. It's okay. There's a good movie in here somewhere. It just needed another pass on the script.
And then what is 5?
For me, 5. I feel like I've explained this like 10 times, so I feel bad for the listeners. But we're recording these in such distances from one another.
I forget.
So for me, a 5, because it's like right in the middle, is mediocre. Okay. It's like it's not good. It's not bad. It's almost like it's just like nothing. Like I feel nothing watching it. I don't feel joy. I don't feel like I'm not annoyed at it or
And 4.
would be bad. So it's kind of like the inverse of a 6, where it's like a 4 is a bad movie with some good parts, and a 6 is a good movie with bad parts. Is kind of how like a 6 is okay, a 4 is bad. So a 4 is like it's a net negative, whereas but as opposed to a 5 where it's just like it's mediocre. Like a 4 in some ways I can respect more than a 5, because a 5 just feels like soulless. Like no one was making any strong creative choices. Whereas like once you start getting 4, 3, 2, it's like someone was making strong creative choices. They just weren't good. You know what I mean? So but this I feel is not mediocre. I do not think mediocrity is its problem. Its problem for me is it's just too much. They just bit off way more than they could chew. And they just did not know. They just didn't know how to handle it, what to do with the material. So,
well, okay, so you said good movie with bad parts. So what is your favorite part?
That's a good segue. I don't know. I think I would say this is a kind of broad, so maybe I'll try to whittle it down. But like I brought up before, I really liked how like artistically bolder. I don't want to say bold, but in comparison, bolder. Some of the stuff in like that first third is. Like the visuals especially, like they're very well conceived imagery of them, like the sailing, and it's like they're almost like sailing in the stars, and then they gotta flip over, and then at one point they flip it over, and it's like you see the ship like it's underwater, but it's also like kind of at night. It's like this really cool imagery, and I like the stuff with Jack by himself in Davy Jones' locker. Like it feels very like cerebral. And I just wish they had done more, like you could have explored his character more, where it's like we only ever see Jack through the eyes of others, right? Like we're never really in his point of view in the other 2 movies. So it would have been cool to like get this, and we really get to see like we get to see that Jack Sparrow, as we understand him, is like a mask. It's a facade. And it would have been cool, like it's funny, but the scene where it's just like 50 Jacks, like they're all just Jack Sparrow. Where it would have been interesting to maybe see like different sides of him. Like one side's like the timid one, and one side, and that makes it sound like almost like Inside Out. I don't mean it like that. I just mean more like, if not 50 Jacks, maybe like just one other Jack, where it's like the real Jack. Like there's the persona Jack, and then there's like
you can tell he's not fully.
He's putting on airs. I feel like
with himself.
Yeah.
He goes out. And he's like, "Oh, good thing you guys are here, because this crew has been like." It's
like just a joke.
Terrible crew, you know.
Yeah, it was just a joke. It was just played for laughs, and I do wish that they had used that opportunity to explore his character a little bit more. But that being said, I like the stuff that is a little bit more unconventional for like a big summer blockbuster. It felt very like impressionistic in certain places. So I would probably say that, like a lot of that stuff, like that more abstract imagery of like that first third. What about you? Favorite part of the movie?
What did they do on the island again? I can't remember.
Which island? There's about 5.
The island when they see the Kraken, and it's like very lush, and then they do something.
In the last movie? Oh.
When they see the Kraken.
That's a good question. I don't remember. I do not remember. That's your favorite part?
No. Well, I was gonna say like more of the land stuff, but
what's favorite part? Favorite scene, character, actor, line?
I think maybe I'll just stick with the classics of Davy and Barbossa.
That's the thing, is that
because they seem like I don't know. I feel like we see more interesting bits of them, whereas like the others are kind of like one-dimensional or two-dimensional.
The other characters in the movie, you mean?
Yeah.
That's the thing I will say about
they're more complex.
That's what I'll say about Barbossa in this movie is I struggle, like I said before, I struggle to see his real purpose narratively, other than just like we want this character back because he's awesome. But that being said, his character's awesome, so it's like it's still fun to see him
even though they
doing
are,
stuff.
Like, you know,
it just feels very shoehorned in.
Very pulled back and neutered in their in their role and performances and whatnot. Or at least like what they can perform. I don't know. Like I thought, like even though it was kind of silly to see it it said something when, when Davy was only using 2 tentacles instead, because he's like,
he's lost his spunk, his sparkle.
Oh, I guess, but he's like basically, at the bidding of Beckett, so he's like lost his confidence and personality and stuff, and like
he's very neutered. He's just like
and then like I don't know.
He's kind of like, it's like, now you know what it feels like to be the Kraken. You're just sent off to hunt people now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
And also Bootstrap too. I just think those guys are really good actors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the they.
At least in these roles, they're really good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Viviana, 1 out of 10. What are you giving this movie? For context, you gave the first film an 8, and then the last film a 6. So what would you give this film? 1 out of 10. Based off your own rating,
I'm debating between a 4 and a 5.
A 4 and a 5?
Yeah.
Holy moly! Okay, talk us through it. That's what people want to hear.
Okay.
Also, I apologize, everyone, for our drunken... I don't think we should drink anymore, maybe, because this is already 2 hours and 7 minutes long.
Oh, I have barely been drinking.
No, but I feel like the first 30, 45 minutes, like, it was a lot of just, like, it was just a lot of, like, Anyway, so talk us through. 4 or a 5. Why do you feel that way? Why such a downgrade from the last one?
Okay.
And what is a 4 or a 5 to you? As opposed to me. I guess, because I guess you don't want to go off of my perfect system.
Well, that's why I was asking, is to see where, I feel it lies. Okay, so from the second one, I feel it's like a really big downgrade in terms of story. Like, it's just so messy, and I was really confused for a lot of the movie.
And the last movie was also pretty messy in terms of story, but compared to this, that was like a clear. It was so clear.
Yeah.
Comparatively,
it was just like not only with motivations, but also like just like also with actions and like purpose and direction. Like, I don't know. I was just confused. I guess for me, the reasoning as to why people were doing what they were doing was not made very clear. And so I was questioning that, but then that also added to, a relationship or situation that existed before, like in the second one, but added more questions instead of answering them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't know. It wasn't very enjoyable to watch because I was like confused and trying to keep track of all the different like little dramas and little storylines and stuff. And then also try to, decode those on top of it. Felt like I was having to decode like different riddles, but there were so many riddles. And then like, I don't know. Like, at least with the last one, you could at least watch it and have a good time. Like, even if it's not, like, very satisfying or clean cut in terms of story. Like, I don't know. This one just was a lot.
It was, okay, so... Is that... Here, so here are the questions. Do you feel like strong creative choices were made, or does it feel lazy?
I have no idea. I mean, what I really like about the last two, well, and even the first one, all of these, I guess, is the cinematography, because it's really great. But I mean, so it looks good, but it just like is just that. It's just like looking at a bunch of pretty pictures, not getting a through line for me, at least. And I was trying to follow through. I was trying to pay attention. So don't come for me about not paying attention.
Yeah. All 5 of our listeners. So.
I was paying attention. I was really paying attention. There was like steam coming out of my ears. She was watching. My
she
brain
was paying
was
attention.
working so hard.
You're really conflicted, I can tell.
I don't know, because like I don't know. Well,
Like I said, answer my question. Do you think it was lazy, or do you think someone tried really hard and didn't succeed?
I feel like both.
Okay.
Like, I feel like it was kind of lazy in the yada-yading of, you know, all the mythos from the last movie. But then added so much more that it was just like a train wreck.
Okay.
I don't know.
We need an answer.
I know.
Half points are not allowed.
I want to give
4 or 5.
I want to give a 4, but like
Give it a 4.
I'm gonna run out of numbers.
What do you mean run out of numbers?
Because the other ones are gonna be worse.
Okay, then they're worse. Then they're worse. If you do 4, you still got 3, 2, and 1. Or they could all be the same. I don't know. You're like, only one movie can get a 4. I can't give another.
Because it's like 8, 6, 4.
Well, that's the funny with mine is that it's going 8, 7, 6. So I'm calling it now. And again, I have not seen the other 2 films. I'm going to give the 4th one a 5. I'm going to give the 5th film a 4. It's going to go 8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
I don't know.
Based off of what I've heard and what I understand about those films, whereas the 4th one seems like just a cash grab, and then the 5th one just seems like a Venom-esque, just like train wreck of a movie. from what I've heard. So
I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna do a 4 because it was not.
It's a net negative. Is it a net negative?
No, I'll do a 5 because
even
though it was very difficult to watch for most of it, I mean there were the the good parts, like I said, like the good acting and stuff.
This was intense.
It was.
No, I mean watching you try to just decide.
Oh yeah, because it's like
the film too.
It takes itself so seriously, but then it's so silly, like with the tiny Jacks, like whispering in his ear, like hanging onto his beard, and like a giant woman turning into crabs. Like it's just like very silly. Like the fantastical element is not right. We've been dealing with that since the beginning. Zombie, undead pirates, whatever. But I don't know. This just seems like they're both getting deeper into like both sides. Like it's getting more serious and it's also getting more silly.
I see what you're saying.
And it's like it's just weird.
It's jumping the shark, but at the same time that it's like we're real storytellers here.
Yeah.
And it's like you are just again like the first film had the perfect balance. It was
not
it's almost a perfect movie. I'm sorry. Can we just watch that movie again?
Goodness. What?
Can we just watch it again?
Like it's not emotionally confusing because it's not as the timing isn't as back to back like something like Temple of Doom, where like you're horrified one minute and then like laughing the next. But it is still like that, just like in larger chunks. And so, you think it's going one way, but then it's going a different way, but then it's also going a completely different way, and I don't know, it's just very, it's a bit of a maze of a movie.
Yeah. Something I just realized, of all the films we've watched for this show, the only 2 films I've given an 8 to, which is the highest I've given any movie, I've only given it for 2 movies.
Sure.
Curse of the Black Pearl and X2, X-Men United. Both films came out in 2003. So maybe there's something about 2003. I don't know. If we cross any other 2003 movies, then we'll see if it's a real trend or not.
We'll see.
But
so yeah, I'll do a 5. Sorry, mine was so long. But what about yours?
That's okay. Well, I'm gonna do a 6.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do a 6. I think it's still a net positive. It's just like I said, there's a good movie in here somewhere. It's just again like an okay movie. It's like I like it, but if I never saw it again, I wouldn't be like upset.
No.
As opposed to like a 4 where it's like I really don't want to watch it ever again. Like I'm actively like if someone was like can we watch At World's End? It's my favorite movie. I would go fine. But if someone was like do you want to watch
I would not.
What's the movie that I don't like?
Which one?
The one with Kevin Spacey that I hate, where he's on death row.
Oh.
It's the lowest score I've ever given on Letterboxd. A 3 out of 10. What's the movie? Life of David Gale?
Yes.
If someone was like, do you want to watch Life of David Gale? I would be like, what have I done to garner this
I feel
this
the
offense?
opposite. I feel like if someone asked me to watch this again, I would not want to.
So, but that reflects your lower score. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So, for me, I'm like, if someone was like, we really want to watch this, I'd be like, okay, whatever. Like, it's only downhill from here. The ship is sinking.
Well,
the ship is sinking.
Maybe not.
But you know what? We're going to have to wait because that's it for this week's episode of Now That's What I Call a Franchise. Next week, we'll be watching the next film in the franchise, the 2011 film, Pirates of the Caribbean. Yes, another prepositional phrase is the subtitle, On Stranger Tides. At World's End really annoys me. On Stranger Tides. I don't like prepositional phrases like that. Viviana.
Well, that one makes more sense, though.
I get Viviana, where can they find us?
You guys can find us wherever you get your podcasts, and don't forget to follow.
What are you from?
What?
Canada?
Hold on.
It's like everything's normal except for like 1 or 2 vowels. Like, and don't forget to follow us.
I don't know where that came from.
Oh,
you guys can find us wherever you get your podcasts, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Franchise Podcast.
Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Franchise Podcast.
Because if I just hold on, I think I want to do that in order to make it clear. Because if I just do like, you guys can find us wherever you get your podcasts, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Franchise Podcast.
So it's either rush through it or become British. Those are the only 2 options.
Well, no, not rush through it. It's just like, I just like kind of sway my words. Anyways,
Everybody, we know this show is very silly, and I really just want to
like the series. This show is silly.
This show is very silly. So, as always, we know you have many podcasting options. I don't know why you've chosen to listen to this, but we thank you.
We're silly little gooses.
We're silly geese.
We're silly little geese.
But we thank you for choosing us. Peace out.